most dangerous rescue mission of the year wasn't really just about rescue. What if the downed American airman was real? The injuries were real. The extraction was real. But the mission itself revealed something much bigger. Because buried inside this story is a possibility so explosive that even asking the question sounds like a conspiracy. A U.S. fighter crew goes down inside Iran. Special operations forces go in. The CIA reportedly runs deception. Electronics are jammed. Roads are bombed. An improvised airfield appears deep inside Iranian territory, near Isfahan. And that's the detail that changes everything. Because Isfahan isn't just any location. It is one of the most sensitive nuclear zones in Iran. So was this a rescue mission? Or did the world just watch a live rehearsal for something even bigger? A future operation to seize Iran's enriched uranium. And here's the part that should make you stop scrolling. The answer may not be fully proven, but the overlap is too precise to ignore. Stay with me, because once you see how the pieces fit together, the official story starts looking a lot less complete. Let's begin with what is actually confirmed. A US F-15E was shot down over Iran. One crew member was recovered early, but a second airman, a weapons systems officer, was left stranded inside hostile territory. He reportedly hid in mountainous terrain, injured, while US forces raced against time and Iranian search efforts to locate and extract him. That alone would make this one of the most intense search and rescue missions in years. But then the details started coming out. According to public reporting, the mission involved a massive force package. President Trump said it included 155 aircraft. Reuters reported that the CIA ran a deception campaign. US forces jammed electronics, and roads near the target area were struck to keep Iranian personnel away. The rescue team then moved deep inside Iran to retrieve the stranded airmen. Now pause, because this is where the story stops looking like a standard rescue and starts looking like something else. The detail that turned this from a military story into a geopolitical mystery was the reported use of an improvised airfield, effectively a forward arming and refueling point, or FARP, inside Iran, near Isfahan. 2 aircraft reportedly became stuck there and had to be destroyed so they wouldn't fall into Iranian hands. Think about that for a second. This was not just helicopters dashing in and out. This was an operation deep enough, large enough, and logistically complex enough that US forces reportedly had to create a temporary operational foothold inside Iranian territory. And that's exactly why Iran reacted the way it did. Iranian officials claimed the rescue may have been a cover to steal enriched uranium. That claim is unproven and should be treated as an allegation, not fact. But it immediately changed how the mission was interpreted. Because from Tehran's point of view, the question wasn't just, why are American forces here? The question was, why are they here like this? And once you ask that, the next question becomes unavoidable. Why does Isfahan matter so much? Because Isfahan is not just a random battlefield location. According to Reuters, IAEA chief Rafael Grossi said that almost half of Iran's uranium enriched to 60% purity, a short technical step from weapons grade, was believed to be stored in a tunnel complex at Isfahan. Reuters also reported that the IAEA estimated Iran had 440.9 kilograms of uranium enriched up to 60%, and Grossi said a bit more than 200 kilograms may have been at Isfahan itself. That means this rescue did not just happen inside Iran. It happened in a region directly connected to one of the most sensitive nuclear questions on the planet. And suddenly, the theory sounds less like a wild internet rumor and more like a strategic interpretation. Maybe this wasn't a uranium raid, but maybe it revealed how one could happen. That is the key difference, and it's a huge one. Let me say that clearly. I'm not saying the rescue was fake. I'm saying the rescue may have exposed a real operational blueprint. This is where the theory gets serious. Experts quoted by the BBC say that any real attempt to seize Iran's enriched uranium would likely require ground troops, temporary operating zones, technical teams trained to handle nuclear material, and possibly heavy machinery to dig through rubble and sealed tunnel entrances. It could take days, or even weeks, and would be one of the most complicated special operations in modern history. Now compare that to the rescue mission. Deep insertion into Iranian territory, air dominance and support aircraft, electronic jamming, deception operations, temporary airfield use, ground teams reaching a target area and trying to get back out under pressure. That does not prove this was a uranium seizure attempt, but it does suggest that the US just practiced several of the exact skills that such a mission would require. In other words, even if the pilot rescue was 100% genuine, it may still have functioned as a live stress test for something much bigger, a real-world rehearsal. Not of the full mission, but of the hardest parts. And here's where the story gets even more interesting. Because the mission didn't just reveal American capability, it revealed American vulnerability too. According to Reuters, the rescue nearly went off course after two MC-130 aircraft suffered mechanical failure and couldn't take off. US commanders had to make a rapid decision: fly in more aircraft, extract forces in waves, and destroy the stranded aircraft and additional helicopters rather than leave them behind. That is one of the most important details in the entire story. Because if this was just a rescue, it shows how even a short-duration mission inside Iran can become dangerously fragile. But if you look at it as a possible rehearsal for a uranium seizure operation, then this may have exposed the nightmare scenario. You can get in. You can reach the objective. You can even dominate the air. But getting out, especially after equipment failure, enemy movement, or logistical friction, may be where everything starts to collapse. That matters because a uranium seizure mission would be much bigger, much slower, and much harder to improvise on the fly. So the rescue may have answered two questions at once. Can the US operate deep inside Iran? Yes. Can it do so without facing severe risk of entrapment, breakdown, and escalation? That answer looks far less comforting. And that's why this story is not actually about one rescued airman. It's about a window. A window into what a future war plan might look like. According to the BBC, if the US ever tried to physically secure Iran's enriched uranium, it would likely need to seize or create a landing zone, send in ground forces, protect the area from counterattack, excavate damaged or buried access points, locate the material underground, and then either remove it from Iran or neutralize it on site. Experts describe this as an extremely high-risk operation, with a million things that could go wrong. And that's before we even talk about geography. Isfahan sits deep inside Iranian territory. Troops operating there would be isolated, medical evacuation would be difficult, air defenses and counterattacks would remain a threat. And if the material had been dispersed across multiple sites, the complexity would multiply fast. So when people hear "seize the uranium," they imagine a raid. But what experts are describing sounds more like a temporary battlefield occupation around a nuclear target. And suddenly, the rescue mission starts to look even more relevant. Because what did we just watch? Insertion, isolation, improvised infrastructure, exfiltration under stress. Exactly the kinds of operational realities planners would need to understand before attempting anything larger. So now we arrive at the real question. Was this intentional? Or was it simply a rescue that became strategically useful? Here's the most honest answer. There is no confirmed public evidence that the United States launched this mission as a fake rescue in order to grab uranium. The downed airman appears real. The mission appears real. The danger appears real. That part is strongly supported by public reporting. But there is also no way to ignore what this operation may have provided strategically. It provided access. It provided timing data. It provided exfiltration lessons. It provided proof that U.S. forces can establish a foothold, however temporary, inside Iranian territory. And it provided all of that near one of the most important nuclear zones in Iran. So maybe the smartest way to frame this is not, was the rescue fake? Maybe the smarter question is, did the rescue accidentally expose what a future uranium operation would require? And when you phrase it that way, the theory becomes a lot harder to dismiss. Not a hoax, not a certainty, a glimpse. That may be the real story. Even if Washington never intended this as a rehearsal, the message to Tehran may have been unmistakable. We can get in. We can operate under pressure. We can create a temporary foothold. And we can recover assets deep inside your territory. That message alone has strategic value, because wars are not only fought with bombs and troops, they are fought with signals. And this signal may have been directed at multiple audiences at once. Iran, Israel, America's regional allies, and every intelligence service trying to calculate what Washington might do next. That is why this mission matters far beyond the airman who was rescued, because it may have quietly changed the menu of what now looks possible. So, was the U.S. pilot rescue in Iran actually a rehearsal to seize enriched uranium? Here's the verdict. Not proven as a covert uranium raid, but absolutely credible as a live demonstration of the kind of capabilities such a mission would require. And that distinction may be more important than people realize, because history is full of operations that looked small in the moment, until later we realized they were previews. Previews of doctrine, previews of intention, previews of escalation. And if that's what this was, even partially, then the world may have just witnessed something far bigger than a rescue. It may have witnessed the first public outline of a future operation against Iran's nuclear material. Not announced, not explained, just revealed in fragments. And that should make everyone very uncomfortable. Because if this was the test run, then the only question left is, what happens when the objective is no longer a man, but the material itself? If you found this breakdown useful, don't just click away, because this story is part of a much bigger pattern. Comment below with one word, rescue, if you think this was exactly what Washington says it was, or rehearsal, if you think the mission revealed a future uranium playbook. And if you want more deep geopolitical breakdowns where we go past the headline and into the strategy underneath it, subscribe now. Because the next phase of this story may be even bigger than the mission itself.